Hi, my name is Mauro Costa, and I'm a postdoc researcher for the Center for Social Studies at the University of Coimbra.
Hi, my name is Lobo. I'm an architect and professor at the Department of Architecture at the University of Coimbra in Portugal. I'm also a researcher of the Center for Social Studies at the same university. We are both developing a research project entitled 3D Reconstitution of the Monastery of Santa Cruz of Coimbra in 1834, financed by Fundação para a Ciência, Tecnologia, by Compete 2020, Portugal 2020 and the European Union. Our communication is entitled Fusion of VR and AR Strategies for Immersion in Lost Historical Architectural Heritage, and will focus on the specific case of the Monastery of Santa Cruz in Coimbra. The Santa Cruz Monastery in Coimbra of the Canons Regular of St. Augustine, founded in 1131, was one of Portugal's main religious houses, before the religious orders were suppressed in 1834. A critical use of the building and its subdivision and attribution to various entities during the following years contributed to the progressive destruction of important artistic and architectural legacies. Today, the former scale and reaches of the monastic complex is difficult to grasp, in the way that contemporary observers have a drastically changed perception of the original architectonic structure. At the same time, artistic pieces commissioned by the monastery are today scattered over a panoply of museums and other institutions. This was the main reason why we decided to establish a research project combining architecture, history of art, and new technologies, more specifically, technologies related to virtual and augmented reality. Therefore, we became interested in the integration of these two emergent fields of development, VR and AR, that gave rise to what has been designated as mixed reality.
As mentioned, in the several studies done so far, the intention was to create distinct contexts into a mixed reality environment where the fusion of digital and analog elements can be sustained through auditory, visual, and sensory outcomes. In other words, one attempts to supplant the Turing's proof for virtual reality. This challenge, initially focused on aspects related to artificial intelligence, currently promotes studies on the way humans conclude about the veracity of routine observations. Consequently, Turing's proof for virtual reality was taken as a reference in this project, in order to realize contents that reduce the observer's experimental and contextual distance from the objects of the study.
Observers undergoing the Turing test, primarily participants of various interactive workshops where digital versions of the human-scale sculptures of the Last Supper ensemble by Rodart, and now at the Machado de Castro National Museum, were abruptly inserted into architectural spaces unrelated either to their actual placing, the museum, or to their origin, the Santa Cruz Monastery. Observers' reactions were recorded to verify the momentary accomplishment of the Turing test for virtual reality. These experiences prepared the team for the research project's main tasks. One of these tasks is to virtually place the Last Supper sculptural ensemble in its original setting, a small elevated space, now walled, that presided over the monastic refectory, which still exists today as an exhibition room.
In addition, the digital sculptures have been scaled down to 1:20 and printed on a 3D printer to be tangibly tested on their interaction and on possible scale compositions of the scene. The accomplishment of the A to D to A, digital to analog to digital process, is very persistent in studies where analog elements inform digital representations that became physical models again, to validate the theoretical proposals that we defined at the beginning.
Among the main mixed reality contents envisioned, we must highlight the cloister around the Manga Fountain, a rare Renaissance architectural piece, along with the medieval Baroque belfry demolished in 1935, which was visible from inside the cloister. Various versions of these architectural elements were recently tested in workshops where they were inserted in the most diverse contexts, such as Álvaro Siza Architectural Faculty Building. Here, the final composition was constituted by a stereoscopically captured architectural element, the still standing Renaissance Manga Tempietto and fountain, and a 3D modeled monastic Baroque belfry, which was 45 meters high. The real environment of Siza's building and gardens is mixed with intertwined elements from Coimbra's Santa Cruz Monastery, some of them transposed, others virtually recreated.
Finally, the photographic captures of environments and the models based on laser scans are creatively fused to produce high-fidelity sensory immersions. These creative technologies provide an interactive experience in contexts where the elements of reality are nurtured with digital information in order to emphasize certain aspects of contemporary or past realities. This connection between intrinsic and extrinsic elements of the virtual and real worlds enables computer systems to help us observe and think in line with the way our nervous system was developed. It also allows us to communicate symbolically in diverse cultural contexts. In our project, the exposure of the observer to haptic sensations draws on the introduction of physical coincidence between what is visualized on VR devices and physical spaces in which visualization occurs. Observing the environment around us is a fundamental condition for feeling to be in a given environment. In addition, the sensation of being in a given environment is reinforced by the freedom of movement, interaction, and exploration. The majority of current VR devices only allow for a head rotation with a fixed point on its axis. Consequently, the rotation goes right, left, up, or down. Although this technology allows some engagement, observers who attempt a translation realize the illusion and inaccuracy of the framework. Here we can see the freedom of movement, interaction, and exploration with Unreal 4.23, a real-time rendering engine. To conclude, we might expose some thoughts. In a future technological context with these characteristics, tacit knowledge is likely to supplant explicit knowledge in all fields of research. On the other hand, as a symbolic and kinesthetic being that we are, the notion of reality itself may undergo major changes. In this way, it is intended to create instruments capable of providing knowledge and wisdom, which means knowledge with emotions, around the lost architecture and cultural heritage.